Hello, everyone. So today we have Mr. Kamal Shah, a resilient individual who has been on dialysis since 26 years. He's also a co-founder of NephroPlus, which is a leading dialysis chain in India. And he's on a mission to provide quality dialysis at affordable prices. So we welcome you, Mr. Kamal Shah, on our Mohan Foundation's channel. And today we will be discussing about traveling while we are on dialysis. Welcome, Mr. Kamal Shah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anchal, for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I'm really a big fan of what the great work that Mohan Foundation is doing, and I'm really privileged to be a part of this episode. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, sir, on various occasions, you have shared about your love for travel, and earlier also you used to travel a lot. So, can you please share a little on being on dialysis for so long, how it has impacted your life while you want to travel, and also does it affect people's life and their desire to travel as well?
Yeah, so I've always loved to travel, and when I started dialysis way back in 1997, of course, for the first couple of years, I was just getting used to the whole idea and the said man just learning to cope with kidney failure and so on. And after I got onto peritoneal dialysis in 1999, and that kind of helped me. It enabled me to travel, more than I was doing for the first couple of years, because PD itself lends, to very easy travel. You just need to carry your bags or get the bags delivered to a particular location, and then you don't need a machine to dialyze. So I think with PD, the traveling started. We did a couple of places and so on. And uh, on hemo also, there were challenges because, you need to go to a place that has a good dialysis center. And often while traveling, you're not sure of what kind of centers are there. And you can't even go in advance and check or anything like that. So you have to just rely on what other people have experienced or what you read on the internet. So it does provide challenge. It does kind of come. There are challenges to travel while being on dialysis, but I would say those challenges are not insurmountable. They can be addressed with good planning, and that's what I kind of do to fulfill my desire to travel. Yeah.
Right, right, right. So, as you've already shared that, finding dialysis centers is very difficult. So, can you please travel that while we are traveling to other cities, how can we, the basic principle of finding a center and then scheduling the dialysis, how we can make sure that it is an easy process for us?
Yeah, the first thing I think we need to do is to plan early. That is
Hmm.
very, very important. You need to start planning several weeks in advance, because
Okay.
you need to do some basic research to check the quality of the dialysis center and get an appointment and so on. So, start early is the first thing I would say. Second thing
Okay.
is you should look for the dialysis centers on the internet and see, because nowadays almost every single dialysis center is at least listed in some form or manner on the internet, either Google or some sites and so
Right.
on. Many uh, dialysis providers which have like chains of dialysis centers, they will definitely have their information on their website. Like NephroPlus, we have the whole list of centers on our website, and anybody can search and get to find the centers in that particular place where you're planning to go. Then
Right.
the next step would be to try to find out more about the dialysis centers, the quality of those dialysis centers. So two, three things that you could do is, one is look up reviews on the internet. Many of these
Yes.
centers will be reviewed in
Hmm.
some form or manner. The other option is to ask other patients. So let's say if you're a member of a group of patients that exchanges this kind of information, you can ask them whether anybody has traveled to this center and how their experience has been.
Right.
That's one more
Right.
thing. And then contact the dialysis center either by email or phone, and then have a chat with them and ask them for the availability of slots.
Lot.
Tell
Yes.
them that I'm planning to come on this date and I need this session at this time. So can you accommodate me? And then ask them, for what are the formalities that I need to complete. So
Yes.
key is to start planning early, because it's not going to be very, very simple. While it's of course doable, but
Yes.
requires careful planning.
Right. So this is something which I faced because I used to do it at the last moment. I used to go to the center. I urgently need dialysis, and Then I had to wait for 3 hours, waiting for reports to come. So this is a very good tip to start and plan early. Thank you for sharing that. So also one more challenge I faced was a viral marker. So it is a very common prerequisite for every dialysis center to show your report, and then you will be given a slot or a dialysis. So how what how important it is to carry our latest reports, or we have to of course wait there for hours to get the latest report from the dialysis center.
Right. So on this, the first thing that you need to do is to check with the dialysis center what their protocol is for
Hmm.
patients availing holiday dialysis. So some centers would say that no, you need to get the reports in our center or in our hospital. Only that will be accepted. In which case,
Yes.
you don't have an option but to go there, give the sample, and then wait for the reports. But on the other hand, a lot of centers these days would accept reports from a recognized lab, like
Yes.
NABL
Right.
certified lab or something like that, and
Right.
then, or if it's one of the reputed chains like Dr. Lal's or Apollo, or,
Yes.
those kind of MedPlus and so on. So you basically, if that is an option, then you should get, but you need to be careful about the when you get the viral marker reports, because there is a time.
Hmm.
So, for example, at NephroPlus, we say that the last viral marker should be within 15 days of your travel or 15 days of getting done, their first session at the center.
Right.
In that case, make sure that the viral marker test is done according to that timeline, and then keep the
Hmm.
report handy. Of course, you would need to send an earlier report when you're making the booking, actually, when you're having an initial
Okay.
conversation. Because let's say somebody is a known carrier of a particular virus, then the
Hmm.
whole plan will be somewhat different, because you know that
Yes.
somebody is a known carrier. But if somebody
Right.
is negative for all the three viruses, then you need to get your viral marker reports in initial set and then carry the latest one with you when you go.
Right. 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 Absolutely. So moving further, vaccination and health precautions are essential for travelers. And how do you ensure that you have up to date with vaccinations and other preventive measures before we are embarking on a trip? So how we can go for that?
Yeah. So on this, while this whole vaccination certificate thing is something that is very recent, and for example,
Hmm.
for hepatitis B, I've got vaccinated like 2 3 times, and but I don't have any record that I've been
Okay.
vaccinated. So it was just something that when I used to go for my session, this was some time back, early days of my dialysis.
Hmm.
They would just give me the injection after dialysis, so there was no
Okay.
record that was maintained. But for hepatitis B, there is a very useful test called the hepatitis B antibody titers.
Right.
So if
Right.
you have a titer value that is, let's say, greater than 100 or so, then
Hmm.
that's proof enough that you are, vaccinated for hepatitis B, and you don't need to worry. So if you are but that is only for hepatitis B. For COVID, I think all of us have got our COVID shots, and we will have
Right.
certificate. So, on the other hand, for things like MMR and typhoid and all, I don't think dialysis centers insist on those kind of vaccinations. I think the two most important vaccinations that are from a dialysis perspective is hepatitis B and COVID. So, the antibody titer is what I would say, keep it handy for
Okay.
hepatitis B, and COVID. Of course, you all of us would have the certificate. You just produce that if they ask for it. But again, it's important to have a conversation with the center that you are traveling to
Hmm.
few weeks in advance, so that you have time to plan all this. And every center has different protocols,
Right.
so we need to make sure that we have a conversation with them and ask them what their protocol is, so that we can plan accordingly. That is
Hmm.
important.
Right. That is a very important tip. We have to plan in advance for our travel. Yes.
Correct.
Also, being on dialysis, we have a lot of dietary restrictions. And when we go on travel, how do we maintain that diet, that hygiene level, and the fluid intake? Because we are walking a lot, we are doing a lot of sightseeing as well, and maybe even if it is work, how do we maintain that?
Yeah. So on the fluid, I think the most important thing is that since you are traveling, let's say on a holiday or work, you are going to be busy for most of the day, right? And
Hmm.
this is especially true if you're not going on work and if you're going on a holiday. So you will be
Yes.
going, you'll be seeing places, you'll be doing some activities there. So by virtue of that, the fluid intake does go down significantly on
Hmm.
its own. Of course, you need to be mindful and you need to make sure that you are restricting your
Yes.
fluid limit, because I think the last thing that we want to happen if you're going on a holiday is to get into an emergency where we have severe
Yes.
breathlessness and all that, right? So that's the worst
Right.
thing that can happen. So you need to be mindful that you need to restrict your fluid. And on the food part, I think that is a challenge, because you need to it is very difficult to get, probably impossible to get food catered specifically for dialysis patients when you're going on a holiday. But I think two
Mm.
things that you should keep in mind is, one is, you ask for low salt, that most people will oblige, because low salt is
Right.
something that everybody understands that it's bad even for healthy people or people with
Yes.
hypertension, which is very common. So I think low salt is one thing that is fairly straightforward to do. Avoid things that are high potassium by themselves, right? Like
Mm.
coconut or
Right. Right.
bananas.
Fruits. Mm.
I think high potassium fruits that we are aware of, I think that needs to be avoided at all costs, because potassium can be very dangerous, if you go overboard on potassium. So need to be very, very careful. And at the same time, I think even when we are traveling, we should not try to reduce the number of dialysis sessions, our frequency, right? Supposing we're getting thrice a week
Okay.
dialysis, it's best not to reduce that frequency, because our body is used to a certain type of
Right.
frequency. And then if you reduce that frequency, and you're not even you're not going to be 100% compliant on the diet, the both combination can be very,
Right.
very dangerous. So I think these are
Right.
the few things that we need to keep in mind.
Right. Right. So when we are in on a holiday mode, we tend to stay in a holiday mode, and we just tend to avoid our dialysis, and we think कि चलो घर जाके करवा लेंगे. But yeah, it's a very valid point to not to miss our frequent sessions.
Correct, exactly, yes.
So last and very interesting question I want to ask, that can you share your any memorable or particularly rewarding travel experience you have had as a dialysis person, and how dialysis has influenced your perspective on travel?
Yeah, I think the best holiday that I've had while being on dialysis was getting a cruise in Alaska. So I had gone on a cruise ship, and there's this company called Dialysis at Sea that has a mini dialysis unit on the ship. So
Wow.
I went on a cruise Vancouver, from Vancouver in Canada, and we went to Alaska and then came back. So it was a 1 week cruise,
Wow.
and I went with some college classmates and their family, and I think that was the best week I had in my life, because Alaska, first of all, is a very beautiful place, and then being
Mm.
able to go on a ship, a cruise ship, and getting dialysis on the ship is a very, very unique experience. So I think
Wow.
that was very, very memorable and something that I can never forget. And this whole dialysis thing, what I believe is, while of course life on dialysis does come with its own challenges, and there are a lot of problems, I think we as dialysis patients need to believe that there is nothing that we cannot do due to
Mm.
dialysis, right?
Yes.
We can do whatever we want to. It is just about being determined, figuring
Yes.
out ways, researching, asking other patients, and then figuring out
Mm.
how we are going to do what we enjoy, what we want to do, what we like doing. Dialysis should not prevent us from doing anything at all, be it a holiday or anything at all. So holidays are such fun times. I mean, I just look forward to traveling, whenever I can. So I just love the time, because it gives you such a refreshing change
Yes.
from your daily routine. If
Yes.
we can figure out the dialysis part, then it's going to be a really
Mm.
nice holiday that we get. So, and these days there are good quality dialysis centers available in many, many locations. So it's up to us to find those centers and then take advantage of a good holiday while getting dialysis,
Mm.
as per our routine.
Absolutely. We it is all in our mind, and if we are determined to do whatever we want, even if we are on dialysis, I think nothing can stop. And the beautiful example you have shared, that having a dialysis on cruise, I have never heard of. So thank you for sharing that, and very much important insights and key points I have taken back from this session. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insights on traveling while dialysis. And I really wish you a lot of travel ahead in your life.
Thank you so much, Dr. Achal. It's really a pleasure doing this interview with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming on Mohan Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Ganeshji, we can stop the recording and you can please share with me later. Sir, I